In this episode of Home Theater Geeks, I answer a question from Mike Ney, who has a Sony HT-A3000 soundbar and wants to add speakers to it to expand the experience. So stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hey there, Scott Wilkinson here, the Home Theater Geek. In this episode, I answer a question from Mike Ney, who writes, I have a Sony HT-A3000 soundbar with a Sony Bravia TV. Can you recommend external speakers for that device that are hopefully wireless to expand the experience? Thanks for the question, Mike. I certainly can. The good news is Sony has just such a product for you. A couple of them, actually, that I'll talk about. Now, the soundbar itself, the HT-A3000, is a 3.1 soundbar with drivers for the left, center, and right channels and what they call built-in subwoofers. We can see an X-ray view of it in this drawing here, in this rendering, shall we say. You can see the speaker drivers that are arrayed along the front, and the ones on the sides are ported to the side. Anyway, that's kind of what it looks like on the inside. And they claim to have 3 channels of full range speakers and 2 quote unquote subwoofers. Now, this soundbar also supports Sony's 360 spatial sound mapping, but you have to have optional speakers, surround speakers, to do it. Here's a graphic that shows Sony's rendition, or what they think it would look like to have this 3D 360 spatial sound mapping. Basically, it looks like Atmos or DTSX. It's what is called immersive audio. And so that's what they claim this soundbar will do if you add a couple extra speakers, just as you want to do. So, hey, that's great. Sony offers a few options, so let's take a look at them. First of all, the lower cost option for a surround speaker is called the SARS-3S. Here it is on stands behind a couch. You can also mount them on the wall. It costs $350, I believe, for the pair. Now I have to double check that, but I think that's what it is. And it's a 2-way speaker in a front ported cabinet. So we can see that in the next graphic. You can see it has a tweeter at the top and a woofer in the middle and a port at the bottom, which gives it, that's a good thing, particularly for mounting it on the wall. Some speakers are ported on the back, and you would not want to mount that on the wall because the port needs to have a free space in which to radiate sound. So that's a good design for mounting on the wall or mounting it on a stand. Sony doesn't give any specs for frequency response or anything like that on any of its speakers that I could find. So unfortunately, that's not gonna be there. The up scale from that is the SARS-5 wireless rear speakers. Here you can see them on the wall mounted. They're $500. They're also 2-way front firing. That is, they have a tweeter and a woofer. You can see that in the next graphic. They also have a passive radiator on the side. So this is a sealed enclosure, but the low frequencies get re-radiated by this passive radiator on the side. I think it's on both sides. More importantly, it has an up-firing driver at the top, which is essentially an Atmos up-firing driver. It takes the Atmos overhead sounds, shoots them up to the ceiling, and then the ceiling reflects it back down to your listening position. It sounds to you like it's coming from overhead, which is exactly what Atmos is supposed to do. Like I said, that one's $500. It has more power too. The RS3S is 50 watts of total power per speaker, and the RS5 is 90 watts. Also, really important, the RS5 has a built-in battery, so you don't have to plug it into the wall. You do have to plug the RS3S into the wall. It's powered, and it gets its audio signal wirelessly from the A3000 soundbar, but it still needs power. And so the RS3S, you need to plug into the wall. The RS5 can run on batteries for up to 10 hours of playtime, and you can charge them for 10 minutes and get 90 minutes of playtime. So that's pretty cool. That's worth the extra $150 to me. Now, as I said earlier, the A3000 soundbar has what Sony calls subwoofers, but they aren't really subwoofers. It's much better to add an external sub, and Sony offers two. There's the SA-SW3, which is $400, 200 watts of power. It's a front ported cabinet, which you can see here. So you'd want to put it somewhere where that port is in the free field, as they say. And the step-up version of that is the SA-SW5, which has 300 watts of power. It's in a sealed cabinet with a down-facing passive radiator along with a front-facing active driver. So we can see that in the X-ray version, which Sony provided. Here you see the front-facing driver, that's the active driver, and the down-facing unit is a passive radiator. And there are vents along the bottom, slots along the bottom, that allow the sound to escape that way. Once again, no specs. I couldn't find any frequency specs on how low it goes, and it costs $700. So that's quite a bit more than the SW3. Now, I would strongly recommend the SA-RS5 surround speakers because they have the Atmos upfiring driver. And that would really be be a big improvement in terms of immersive audio or expanding the experience, as you ask about. And they also have batteries, so you don't need to plug them into the wall except to charge them. So that's another big advantage, I think. So if you can afford those, I would go for that. The SW5 subwoofer is undoubtedly a beefier sub that goes lower and louder than the SW3. But that's almost twice as much as the SW3, $700 versus $400. So if you wanted to save some money, I would do it there rather than in the surrounds. Yes, bass is very important. Don't get me wrong. If you can afford it, the SW5 would be a better experience. But if you want to save some money, the SW3 will certainly be an improvement over what Sony calls subwoofers in the A3000 subwoofer. So there you have it. I hope it helps. If you've got a question, please send it along to htg@twit.tv. We love to answer those questions, and I'll get to as many as I can on future episodes. And as always, we thank you for your support of the TWiT network with your membership in Club TWiT, which allows us to produce all sorts of shows that you can access with a membership to Club TWiT. It also lets you come into the Discord channel where we record these shows, and you can watch us do that. So I hope you will. Until next time, geek out.